everyone. This is Elizabeth. Thank you for joining me today. This little video is a part of my Design With Me where I go through and chat with you while I talk about a creation that I did. This here is a little tree that I drew earlier this year. Can't believe 2020 is almost over. Woo! But this little guy I drew for the purpose of making some Christmas cards. And now this was before I knew about foiling and all the wonders of that. This was designed so that I could cut out some fabric and make some fabric trees for cards and some ornaments. So keeping with that, this can still be used in that way. And I've designed this tree so that you can send it to your cutting machines, such as a Cricut, Silhouette, Scan and Cut, and it will recognize 3 shapes. And it will cut out each shape on whatever paper or material you choose. So that's going to be super, super fun and hopefully give a lot of options. So you could literally use this tree for a couple of years just by changing out the material you use to make it. So if you don't have foil, don't fret. This is going to be a great design for you still. If you don't have a cutting machine, don't worry. The SVG or PDF that you download will have this tree in pieces so you can print it, cut it out, and then use it as a template to actually trace and cut your own pattern paper. So I use Illustrator to do all of my design work. I do pay for Illustrator. It's my monthly subscription. I wished it wasn't so much, but it helps me so much. And the tutorials that I can search for are vast on this program. And so what I do is I've created a layer. It's like having an extra sheet of paper for each piece. So the trunk has a layer, the top of the green tree has a layer, and then the shadow part that I'm going to put in down here is going to have its own layer as well. And what that does is when you go to send it to Cricut or anything like that, it'll recognize the 3 solid shapes and give you 3 nice images to cut out instead of being weird and cutting the image, the trunk out of the top of the tree, or having to cut the whole tree and trunk 3 times and then, piece it together that way. And in order to have nice solid shapes, I've got to actually color it in. And I'm probably doing it old school, literally like a coloring book. Just grab my tool and start coloring it in. I need to do some more tutorials because I know you can draw shapes and turn them into actual shapes, which you can then fill with a color. But oh, you know what? I think I know how to do that. I may have to go back and give that a try. It just dawned on me. When you draw a line, it is a different, I don't know how to describe it. It's a different unit within the machine. And then you can turn that line into a path. And I think that's where I went wrong. Instead of just drawing the tree, I should have drew it, turned it into the path, and then I could fill it with a color. Sometimes the brain just takes a walk for a few days, let me tell you. But here it is. We're getting to the big tree. I'm going to let some music play because this little bit does take a little bit of time, and this is even sped up. That's how slow I am. I like just take my time and just go about my business. But here's some music for you. All right, we're getting done with that little bit of tree. I'm going to bring in some plaid colors here. Now these are just found off of Google. I don't know who designed them. Via Pinterest and Google, the creator gets kind of lost. So they're copyrighted. I cannot share the trees that I do in the plaid with the FSC, but just know that the layout I'm doing, you can do too. You can do it with paper, fabric, as I've mentioned. Just be creative with it. So I've taken this brown plaid and I copied it to my thing, to my page. And then I take the trunk and copy it to its own layer so that the original doesn't get messed with. So this is just a little copy. You select both images together and do what's called a clipping mask, which is a Control-7, and it merges the two. And it's so fun and fabulous to do stuff like this. And here we go with the bottom of the shadow area. So just imagine these being different sheets of paper. If you don't foil and you have fancy foilable paper that you bought in a paper pack, just mix and match and create something fun and whimsical for your cards. And they don't even have to be Christmas cards. That's what's even better. Plaids are all year. They're, you know, if you got a guy that works in the wood industry or a family that likes to go hiking and stuff, these would be great for them. And this plaid, I love this one that's coming up. I'd like to have a bed set in that plaid. That's really pretty. And then again, we just do our little clipping mask, and there's our tree. Isn't it so cute? Now, I'm gonna go and make a new page and kind of do a couple of layout ideas for you. Turn everything off. And here we go. We made some copies. And what I'm gonna do for the FSC is you'll get an SVG in the straight up black so that you can just put it on a Word document, whatever, print it multiple times and foil to your heart's content. And then you will also get the SVG with the different layers of the tree. And then I'll do a PDF where the tree is actually broken down. So you'll have a trunk, you'll have the undershadow, and then you'll have the tree topper. And then just know that the shadow and the tree trunk tuck behind the tree topper. So it'll layer a little bit. And here I paused a bit. Even in fast forward, you could see I was hanging out here because I looked at these and thought they would be great as a 5x7 card just as they were. And you print them out just like that, foil it, put it on another page with snowflakes or something, or a sky paper. It's really going to be, I'm excited to use them. Let's just say that. I'm super excited. And here I took two because I'm thinking it would be great for a big card. What about a little card? So the two smaller ones will fit the small, 4¼ by 5½ inch card front. And then the other one I'm going to flip and elongate so it will actually fit the front of a slimline card. Now that red line I put in there just to cut the paper in half because it never fails. I always do something and then I go to print it and work with it and I'm like, I got it too close to the center. So I've been working really hard and reminding myself, cut the paper into sections to make sure, you know, that's going to fit for somebody's card. And so this little tree will be, the tallest point will be 3 inches, I think. So it'll fit very nicely on a 8½ by 3 inch card. Or is it 8½ by 3½? 3½, half a 7. And then we're going to open another layer just to kind of give you an idea of how you might do some more slim lines with smaller versions of the tree. Now at first I was placing them because I was thinking, pardon me, that it would be fun to do like a little forest of them, you know, stack them up in a corner. And then that's when I was like, oh wait, I could do 3 slimline fronts on 1 sheet of paper. And that's what we're going to do, the different sizes of the trees in different quantities to do slimline cards. Now this I can't send to the FSC in these colors, but I'm going to go into the program and turn all those little trees black so that you can foil them just like that, and then cut them apart and make slimline fronts. Or you can take your SVG, if you're able to download one, shrink it down to size, fill an entire paper with them, and then foil them, and you would have a great background full of trees. Which actually, that sounds really fun, where you do 1 layer up and down, or 1 layer and then flip the other layer. Ideas, ideas. This, I tell you, sometimes my brain takes a walk and it forgets to come home. I was using lines trying to, I'm like, I'll draw a 3-inch line. My trees can take up this much space. And I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't working. Why did I not just draw a rectangle and be like, oh, here's my 8.5 by 3.5 rectangle, and everything should fit in the middle of it. Now you'll see here in a second that my 8.5 rectangle turned out to be a 15-inch rectangle, and my brain didn't compute. And I'm like trying to adjust the trees to fit these crazy long rectangles, and I'm like, what is going on? And yeah, it takes me a moment to realize that they were 15 inches long. I typed in something funny. If you don't get the cursor right and you delete the I in front of the IN for inch, it does weird stuff. So now we have the perfect 8.5 by 3.5 inch rectangle, which I then duplicate and stack so that I can get proper measurements on the page. And there it is. That way there's plenty of wiggle room. I know my printer prints crooked sometimes. So if you have a not so fun printer, you can still print it, and there's going to be a little bit of wiggle room so you can cut those down to fit your page. And then I think we're done with this, and you're going to get to see the other fun image that's going to be in the FSC. This image that's coming up, I didn't show how I drew it. It was a very long process. I was giving myself a headache. And in the end, I just stopped recording. And there he is. Isn't he pretty? I had my niece on video chat with me, and she was watching, and she's like, oh, dude, we were playing around with the colors and everything. She's super cute. And so I was way more relaxed, and I was able to get this done. But this guy took me some hours to get done, trying to fussy with the eyes, the nose, everything. Whoo, 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 whoo. That's all I can say is whoo, whoo, whoo. And even right here, when I did film this part, I mean, he's basically done. I was just making sure all the parts stay together when you move it. And you can see here, part of his nose, the inside of his nose didn't move. There's a whole like 10-minute clip that I cut out because I had the wrong cursor selected. And when you have the wrong cursor, you can't combine images like I wanted. It took me forever to figure that out. But he got all together, and the white that you're looking at is an actual 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And it is zoomed out, I think at 25%. So if I were actually to zoom in, there is a ton of detail on him. And what I do here, I want the maximum for you guys. If you can't get the SVG and you can only print out a PDF, I want maximum paper coverage so that you can print. Even in Word, I think you could select part of the image, cut it out, and copy and paste it. Just sizing it won't be as fluid as if it was an SVG. And what I'm doing here is I'm getting 3 on the bottom so that they can be cut out, used on different cards in different places. The big guy, he will fit the front of a 6x6 card very nicely. If you downsize him, he'll keep his lines pretty clear on a downsize. I just wouldn't scale him up on a PDF. But if you have an SVG, you can make that sucker a 12x12 if you really wanted to. So, but I wouldn't recommend cutting him out on a Cricut. You could, but there's a lot of detail in there, and I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. I didn't really design him for a cut file. He's more of a print and decorate file. If you don't have foil, don't fret. You can print him out and then color in the background. I'm just thinking maybe I'll do one where it's a straight up silhouette so you don't see all the features. So look forward to that too. I'll do one where it's a straight up silhouette and you can foil the whole thing. And then if you wanted to, you could cut that out on your Cricut. That might be fun actually. And because I have room on the page, I'm going to give a couple of sentiments. I made them 5 inches long, so if you made a 5x7 card, it would easily fit on there. And then you can snip right between the Merry and the Christmas or the Happy and the Holidays and stack them. So they'll be nice big fonts for you. And they'll take foiling very nicely. And here comes Happy Holidays. So nice, so nice. I think he turned out super, super cool. And now we're going to change him to black so that he foils super, super nice for everybody. And we may admire him for a second while I say thank you for joining me today. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.